All right. So sorry you all had to see that last match. That was an absolute beating, but hopefully we get a little bit of a closer one here. Yeah, Reed's deck, not really my best matchup. I'll say that, Jim.
Yeah, that Blood Moon was pretty backbreaking.
As it always is.
It's hard.
Lava
It's hard
Dart and
to
Blood Moon. Damn.
watch sometimes.
All right, getting into this, as far as the matchup that we've already seen from these two competitors playing, we saw Caleb, come out victorious here. Is there anything really drastic Reed has to do different, or just business as usual?
Step one's win the die roll, which Reed has
That
done.
was huge.
And Caleb's hand's a little rough here, honestly. We have the two
Yeah.
lander, but one of them is a Dryad Arbor. And against the Lava Dart deck, you'd rather throw Dryad Arbor across the room and have it in your deck here, really. So,
Yeah,
if
no
Caleb doesn't
kidding.
draw a non-Dryad Arbor land here, then we have the Chords, which is a little hard to cast too. Just do another Grist, which is not a great draw either. And Reed's hand's pretty good. Double creatures, a lot of draw. So, gonna be an uphill battle for Caleb here.
Yeah, this one's ideal for Reed. This looks excellent. A good removal spell, the one Unholy Heat that can deal with Yawgmoth if it were to get to that point. Has some card draw here, has the bobble to probably hit Delirium as well. Yeah, really everything in Reader Rabbit's court.
Yeah, so far we've seen Reed be very, very patient with these bobbles and he's kind of like saving up for the big turn as far as the prowess stuff goes. We'll see if the bobble comes down here or not, or we wait a little bit. But the scrying, obviously very, very good, or surveilling with the channeler. And the next turn's going to be great also, honestly, with iteration and a removal spell.
Yep, totally agree with you. And even Bind and Expressive Iteration, that's a sign of power, I will say, especially when you have 2 mana already. That can't be what Caleb wants to see.
Yeah, true power move. Ooh, Manamorphose too. This is really shaping up.
All right, so here's the Baba. We're going to see a nice little attack here.
I think we saw a Lava Dart get binned also from their survey. Also, even more extra goodies.
Dryad Arbiter, come on in and hang out. What's the worst that could happen?
Water's fine, Dryad Arbiter. Come right in. Yeah. Drawing Dryad Arbor is tough. That's definitely the card where you draw it too many games in a row. You just want to cut it from your deck because it's very, very awkward to draw. And here, this is a bad day to be a Dryad Arbor.
No kidding. Because as you see there with those little swirls, y'all, it is a creature and a land, but that also means it's a creature. I know this is expert commentary right here, which means you can't use it right away. Not even on your opponent's turn. So really, really brutal stuff here.
Yeah, Bowmaster Stranded. We're about to see probably a free Stone Rain, if not a 1-mana Stone Rain. And yeah, with double expressive iterations, another land ready to go also. I mean, Reed just has everything.
Yeah, I guess it would be a free Crack the Earth, right? Because you'd have to lose one of your own lands as well.
Very fair. That's a nice deep cut too. Crack the Earth.
Thank you. Any Crack the Earth fans out there when it was a good Magic card in Modern for like, I don't know, a weekend?
I'm one. So Crack the Earth, sweet.
Okay, there we go. All right, so 2 mana. I mean, it's pretty tough to not want to just start with Expressive here, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the Dart able to kill the Arbor for free, and then the Heat, I mean, Heat could kill the Wolf here, so just kind of get a blocker out of the way.
Yeah.
Also, just like important against the Quarter Calling deck, just to keep the board clear. The less things there are in play, the less of Caleb's cards actually work, so could see that here too. But I mean, playing creature is great too. Most options are leading to Roam here, though.
Yeah, no kidding. So that being said, Quarter Calling for 0 is active right now, but I believe there's 2 targets, right? Walking Ballista and Dryad Arbiter, and one's in play, and the other one is not very good.
Yeah, that is the case. And it's Core for 0 is a pretty common play pattern from Yawgmoth, actually. But of course, to get the Dryad Arbor, which is already in play. So, yep. Looking like we're going to see it here. I wonder if this is, if it's just pulling the Ballista into the graveyard for a possible Soul Cauldron in the future.
Yeah.
Or, wouldn't be a very good draw either, but this is a really, really, a thin spot for Caleb.
Yeah, this is looking like, what I was doing this last match. Like, I guess I'll just equip my construct and hope this 3/3 goes the distance. It's probably not going to happen, but might as well have it there for the outside chance.
Yep. That second Quarter Calling is probably never getting cast this game. So a little extra value, get it in there, and then maybe, some sort of backdoor set of draws can make this happen.
So the one thing that Reed did is he kept cards on top. That leads me to believe that there's a bobble or a mutagenic growth there. So you can get value on this because Reed did already play land 3. So being able to give yourself that opportunity to get a free spell out of it is still pretty good. And ooh, thanks for making me look smart there, Reed.
Nailed it. Yeah, it even has the bolt too. So you got a bolt in the chamber as well. Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
that's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, a combination there, of course, Reed being on the play, having a great draw, and then Caleb's draw being a little bit awkward. I'm honestly a little surprised that Caleb kept that hand.
I am
You
too,
know,
because that was either 7 or 6, and I don't know if it matters which one it was, you know?
yeah, like you just the thing is also if the hand was like a couple Bowmasters and like a wall root, something like that, like all right,
Yeah,
sure. But like the hand was Court of Calling, just like these cards that just you really need to get going to actually cast. And
yeah.
obviously did not get there.
Yep, definitely did it. So it looks like it might turn out. Of course, we got 2 more games to play and anything could happen. That Reed spends, maybe 25 minutes on his first match and a solid 7.5 minutes on his next 2 combined. As he dispatched me in like 5 minutes, and that game was lightning fast as well. But Blue Red Prowess definitely can do those kind of really speedy games.
Yeah, it has the potential. It's,
For sure.
honestly one of the most explosive decks if you're not killing their creatures. It really does
Yeah.
kill very, very fast. We see a cool tool here also from Reed, the Kozilek's Return, which is kind of awesome. Almost never kills any of your own creatures, and then obviously you can mop up the halflings and the wolves and stuff like that too. Reed's got 2 jobs. Get some creatures in play, and then keep the board as clear as possible to turn off
Yeah.
those cards like Hordes of Calling and Friends.
Yep, totally agree with you. Usually the MO against Yawgmoth hands. And speaking of Yawgmoth hands, that's another stinker. This one's
Dryad
functional
Arbor.
though. Get it to the bottom right now. That's a mulligan to 6. Throw it in the trash if I was Caleb here. That is a card that is just much better in your deck anyways. So, in all seriousness, we are probably going to see that Dryad Arbor, excuse me, head to the bottom.
Yeah, nice and safe down there too. No risk of drawing it on your first draw step and being very, very mad about it. And then no
Yeah.
fetch lands here either. So it's gonna be down there for a while. Pretty good hand though for Caleb. We got some good blockers, some good mana creatures. Definitely the lower end of the curve, and they can go
Yeah.
find those bigger cards later.
I mean, that's kind of the draw that we saw, against Reed in the first time that they played. Caleb had this huge setup turn and was just at the Yawgmoth waiting room and
Yep.
drew it a lot faster, I would say, than average, and was able to capitalize and win the game immediately. Now, Reed's hand, kind of the same as that game as well. Pretty slow, pretty do nothing. Can you even keep that from the prowess side?
I'm gonna assume that was 6 cards because I can't imagine even considering keeping that on 7. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're probably on 5 here. Though the 5 does look pretty good. We've got 2
Yeah.
creatures, Bobble, Bolt, Iteration. Uh, all you can really ask for.
It could be 6, though. I'm not 100% on that. Yeah, Rita's on 6, so that was the
Okay.
7.
Okay.
So he's just, doing his due diligence, thinking it out. But yeah, that definitely seemed like a bit of a mulligan.
Yeah, the thing about Prowess compared to Burn, both decks seem really, really similar,
Yeah,
but the Prowess deck is much more reliant on its creatures. You really have to play a creature or 2 in the first 2 turns, or you
yeah,
kind of end up just sitting there and spinning your wheels, and then you're drawing Lava Darts your opponents at 13, and you're like, "Oh, the Lava Dart is good because of the creatures, not in place of."
yeah, exactly. And just speaking of Reed Duke, thinking that turnout, well, he's one of the goats for a reason. He definitely thinks out his lines and doesn't rush to any kind of situation, no matter the scenario.
Yeah, the second time we've seen Reed, not play a creature and play a removal spell. Obviously, you get into a Ragged Man, it makes it a little more like, it's kind of a more obvious play, but right there
Yeah.
too, just kind of kill the dork, keep Caleb's board down, and then the creatures are still fine this turn also. We have haste and we have abilities, so looks pretty good.
I wish he would have found a line where he would have not killed the Regavan last round. I think that would have yielded that gamer a lot better time than having said Regavan destroyed.
Listen, all right, Lava Dart, it's just made for Ragavan. They're just like peas and carrots. My
Yeah,
little
I
10-cent
thought
common.
I thought I was gonna have to deal with Bowmasters, and I've already accepted that evil. But Lava Dart, come on, Reed, not cool.
I'll have to build a Lava Dart Bowmaster deck to play against you next time we play. So give me the
I'm
best of both
never
worlds.
I'm never coming to Mog Monday. Not even if there's a fire. Mog Monday is just Bowmasters and Lava Darts up against my poor Ragavans. Not cool.
All right, well, here's Bowmaster taking out the Channeler. Close to Delirium, but not quite. That's a pretty big play, honestly. Thinking out
Yeah.
that the flying creature as well is very, very important, being able to fly over his blockers. Wall Roots is kind of standing strong right now. We require a lot of spells to kill, and Reed has a little bit of work to do here.
Yeah, and there is Cauldra to do any kind of manipulating to the graveyard. Like, you can obviously get rid of your Delighted Halfling to then put it on your creatures to start getting some value here. Or what we see here, taking Reed off Delirium and minimizing Underworld Breaches, efficiency, effectiveness, and just forcing Reed into one play this turn. So, yeah, great sequences here from Caleb.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised from Reed's side that he would be leaving the breaches. I feel like the pressure's on him to be the more aggressive deck in the matchup, where like if the
Yeah.
game goes long, Caleb's gonna probably win. And then there's on top of that, there's just these soul cauldrons that aren't going anywhere. They're a primary part of Caleb's plan, and they just happen to really hose Underworld Breach. So interesting
Yeah,
to see.
that's the thing is like it is Cauldron especially hoses Underworld Breach when it is that kind of combo finish with Thassa's Oracle. If you can ever get that, it's just GG most of the time. But for this aspect, you only get to exile one card a turn, which is still great, but it's not as effective. Now, a card that's a little more effective here is
Yeah.
Scavenging Ooze.
How about the old
Yum
ooze here?
yum.
Nothing like Reed losing to a scavenging ooze, right? I mean, scavenging ooze is like Reed's pet card.
Yeah, Reed is gonna see this cast and be like, lucky.
Yep.
So fun. Also, that's a pretty nice one to exile with Agatha's Soul Cauldron if it were to go to the graveyard and
Ooh.
just everything's a scavenging ooze.
Yeah, this
Talk
is
about Reed's dream for sure.
the soul called is like Christmas here. Every time we see it in play, it's like, oh, it can do this too. Oh, it can do that too. Oh, cool. That was a cool one too.
Exactly. So get ready. I'm gonna be firing some Soul Cauldron questions at you in no time.
A big one here is also the wall of roots in play as well. So these wall of roots allow you to do double duty on the scavenging ooze. Basically, always have green mana up, which is huge.
Yeah. And let's see. We see only one creature in the yard for Scavenging Ooze to eat. And Unholy Heat is delirious right now, but that's the thing is, even if Reed is able to remove the Scavenging Ooze, Reed has no way of removing it from the graveyard.
Yeah.
So you almost feel like you got to get rid of Agatha's Soul Cauldron first, which Reed doesn't really have access to.
Yeah, I think there's some shattering sprees, but no, not really available just yet. And yeah, you're right. If every creature has the scavenging ooze ability, that's like a pretty big nightmare for Reed.
Yeah, no kidding. These creatures have some good toughness as well, so it's going to be tough for these creatures to get through. That being said, Reed still does have a functional hand. It's not amazing by any means.
Yeah, with the channeler as well, you can try and overpower the ooze. Maybe just keep funneling cards to the graveyard. But for now, not too much to do. And now a little bit of game of chicken here. So Reed says go. Does Caleb start activating the graveyard abilities, and then Reed can respond?
I also think Reed has to Unholy Heat this Bowmaster right now. Unholy Heat is not getting any better. You can basically accept that it's never going to get delirious. And here's your one window to destroy Bowmaster so you can unlock your cantrips.
Yeah, for sure. Because the problem is with the delirium so hard to achieve. Now the channeler is kind of vulnerable. Also, as we were saying, like, the longer the game goes, the worse it looks for Reed. Caleb's also still at 20.
Mhm.
Like, so has the board, has the life total, is winning on most of the things you care about in the game, but we still have some work to do. Preordain and breach, and we'll see if scavenging use can the red zone here.
Caleb's ahead on the board, life total, style points, really all the categories you can really think of right now. Caleb's doing it.
Yeah, it's funny because this attack looks a little weird, right? So we could see a triple block on Unholy Heat and like maybe just fire up enough damage to actually kill the ooze. But like you were saying, if the ooze dies, then it gets Soul Cauldron, and now everything's a scavenging ooze. So
Yeah,
not
Caleb
even
might
like
actively want this dead, to be
right,
honest.
exactly.
Like even if there's a triple block, Caleb might just be like, you know what? I'm not gonna eat any creatures. Let's just get rid of that. And Reed figures out that that's the play, takes it. See where we can go from here. But like now you're just really in a rough spot. What do you preordain now? With Bowmaster still being on the battlefield, drawing that card is going to kill your DRC, and that's kind of like your avenue to win right now, trying to fly over
Yeah,
Caleb's creatures, excuse me.
almost all of Reed's plays hurt right now. Like the breach is covered, the heat's covered, the preordain's covered. The board's covered. We got a little Gigantha here. Maybe a little 5/5 elk can come help out. They can't attack through a wall of roots. But again, with 20 life, Caleb has a lot of breathing room.
Yeah, why can't Reed ever buy Gigantha when I'm playing him? Come on. Gigantha was just the mascot, while the rest of his cards just beat me up.
Just cheering along, blood moon, blood moon.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so here goes Scavenging Ooze in again. And at what point does Reed have to block this?
Tough. Like can only take so many more hits, but it's just, whenever you're in a spot like this for Reed, you're going to try and take a second and be like, all right, what needs to happen for me to win this game? And Reed is exceptional at this. I mean, Reed is probably one of the best players in the world at coming back from bad spots. Ooh, that's a big draw. And finding how to do it. And that's it. That's the card you want, honestly. Probably this Cosmos Return. So,
but it looks like Reed's trying to set up and establish a battlefield before he goes for Kozilek's Return. But I'm 100% with you. The amount of games where me and my brother especially, whenever we're just wildly behind in a testing game, we're like, okay, instead of waiting for the 3%er, let's go to the next game, get some more testing in it, and concede a little early. That's not Reed Duke's style. And I think it's very good because then you learn how to play from those abysmal situations and you start learning how to dig your way out of it. So that's a great skill just to turn it into your own game, if you're trying to emulate the Duke himself.
Yeah, it's a really important spot. It's a mental game spot too, because it feels bad to play a game where you're getting destroyed, but instead of looking at it as a game you're going to get crushed, you look at it as an opportunity where like, it'd be really cool if I won this game.
Exactly.
So, and that's why also great players like Reed, also, it looks like they get lucky fairly often, because like he just drew Kozilek's Return. That's a chance to win this game now. But by putting yourself in a spot over and over again, you look luckier than you actually are.
How are you going to justify you having that one of Gemstone Cavern on the draw? Was that luck or was that streamer skill or?
I got some news for you.
Yeah.
I downloaded those from Magic Online. Yeah, last night. I made one change to a deck. I cut the 4th Omnath for that one Gemstone Cavern in the main deck.
That's like to be so big-brained and so handsome at the same time.
Pure deck building skill. All right. Pure deck building skill.
That's creating your own luck right there, Jim, and I'm proud of you.
Exactly.
All right, we see Gris take down the Elk. Gigantha falls. Now we'll see if you want a triple block Bowmaster here or something like that to start turning on an ability. But honestly, that being said, if you immediately triple block to Bowmaster, Agatha's Soul Cauldron will exile the Ooze, and then the Ooze can exile Gigantha and the Delighted Halfling. So that does not even work. These blocks are a nightmare.
Cauldron's a crazy card.
It really is.
That's some wild things to a game.
Yeah, let's let Caleb cook here because he is definitely stirring that pot, stirring that cauldron.
You see a potential 5 damage here?
Yeah, why not?
All right, we got the Orc Army Ooze token.
All right, choose up that Gigantha. Yum, yum.
And now the Bowmaster itself is a 2/2, but it also has the Scavenging Ooze ability too. Exactly. So it can survive a Kozilek's Return. Yeah, Return looked like it was the best possible path, but I think the door is closing here.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you... And now the Wall of Roots kind of turn over, and you're able to activate 3 times here with these Scavenging Oozes. Yeah, I just don't see a way out here for Reed, but in true natural fashion, Reed's going to play it out here probably for one more turn.
Yep. 21-3. Reed's like, I'll take those odds. No problem.
Never count me out.
Yep.
And a reminder, everyone, this is our final match of the day. First of all, thank you all for hanging out. This has been a really fun experience. Even doing some losing, I still just absolutely love these Super Leagues. So big shout out to Magic Online, Anurag, Will, everyone who puts these events up. They are just an absolute blast to play. And I'm looking forward to the next week that I'll be competing.
And if you're enjoying it, show your support. Hit that follow button. Yeah. Check out if you're watching on the NZ channel, check out the main Magic Online channel. They're on YouTube. They go up after the fact, which is super cool. Share those tweets. Tell your friends. Super League's back, folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, make sure to show some follows to Magic Online. Maybe some unfollows on Anurag's no, just kidding. We like to throw some shade. We love Anurag here.
Already done.
Already done. Yeah, I just logged into my personal account just to get that done here. All right, there is Dryad Arbor.
Guess who's back? And now Dryad Arbor's like, hey, you were talking about me in that first game. Now I'm back.
Look at me now. Tap for a green.
I'm about to be a scavenging use, all right?
Yeah. My mom said when I grew up I could be anything, and now I'm a scavenging ooze, finally. All right, we see a young wolf here just going through the motions. Caleb has all the things going on, and so far, I think this is very much Modern can definitely be this case at some point, but really who has ever been on the play in this match has felt extremely favored, and I think that's just a product of prowess in general. It's just so much better on the play, so much worse on the.
Yeah, it's also the Yawgmoth deck also though. It's a mana dork deck against a lava dart deck, so like the play draw can be huge. I'm casting Grist after you played your 1-drop versus you have 3 1-drops and are killing my mana creatures, huge as well. So contextually, both prowess is a big play draw deck, and the matchup is also very play draw.
Very true. That's why you went with the one of Gemstone Cavern deck, so you can be good on the play and the draw. I mean, that's why you're the winner and I'm the loser right here with those big brain moments.
Gotta cover all your bases.
Had it the whole time.
Love the ignoble hierarch here attack, which looks kind of silly at first glance, but then you remember the cauldron can put the counter on it. It could be a scavenging use, so it's actually a lethal attacker.
Oh man, this is just brutal in so many ways. So we're gonna see Kozilek's Return. That's definitely the scariest card that does something here, but what exactly does it really do? We see 2 creatures in the graveyard, so that's 2 +1/+1 counters. So something like the Dryad Arbor and the Ignoble Hierarch, it's probably just going to make sense to let them go away. There's a chance not a chance. You could save one of them.
I think the Arbor is gonna live its dream here and become a scavenging ooze.
Oh man, how exciting!
Because 2 pumps there is lethal for 3, so it's just a bigger choice over the Ignoble Hierarch.
Yep.
Our little baby Dryad Arbor is growing up.
Growing up so fast. Right as you say that, nah.
All right.
Let's just make Bowmaster better. That's what we needed to do around here, huh?
Yeah.
Come on.
Hopes and dreams are quashed, but
exactly. So that being said, all right. So we're going to start trying to walk through some of these absurd scenarios, right? If Reed after this Kozilek's Return will resolve, if Reed can go something like Manamorphose into Manamorphose into Manamorphose into maybe like a removal spell like Unholy Heat, maybe these creatures are big enough where they're able to pick off the Orc Army and the Bowmaster. But as I say that, I'm now realizing there's a Bowmaster and that'll just be 3 pings. So
Bowmaster ruins everything,
It really does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Drawing cards is just so fun.
I know.
Why punish it? Drawing cards should be encouraged, not punished.
Huge design fail. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem here is that just so many of the potential avenues are cut off between the Bowmaster and the Scavenging Ooze. Like the graveyard doesn't really work and the card draw doesn't really work. And those are usually the ways you'd make a big swing in a Magic game. You draw a handful of cards, utilize your graveyard in some broken way. Without those, it's just like some 1/2s and some lightning bolts.
Yep, doesn't look as impressive. So Reed trying to think it out here.
So we've got a 3/3 Bowmaster and a 4/4 Orc.
It's like it. We're going to see some more chomping.
Yeah, so the thing here is that all those creatures in the graveyard is more food for these mini Scavenging Oozes.
That's a good point. So floated the mana there. We see Young Wolf comes back with a bunch of text because, well, why not?
Then Scavenging Orc gets to work.
Okay, and there is a Yavimaya.
Hold on. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
It would only been better if you paired it with your Leroy Jenkins soundbite there. So
I mean,
maybe
looks like
next
me
time.
is back on the menu is on the soundboard, so that's a possible
Well,
option.
fair enough. All right, so do you just have to double chump? You tried to string anything together?
I guess, but the problem is then what does that leave as a potential out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And while all the while, this is, to survive, maybe make one of these a profitable block. That would be great for Reed. All the while, well, Caleb's still at 21.
right. That's kind of the issue, you when you look for that like game steal, like Fire Blast Ross Merriam or Lightning Helix, Olivier Ruel kind of thing. It's usually
Yeah,
contingent on the player being at 6 life, 7 life,
yes.
some amount that isn't completely in burn range, but also isn't safe either to kind of go over the hump. And 21 is not even close to any sort of burn range at all.
Agreed. I'm also really proud of you to get a Ross Merriam dagger in. Well,
Oh
he's
yeah,
not on the Super League at all. Really good commitment to just us being friends with him, and I'm proud of you.
I try my best.
There you
That's my most proud moment tonight, honestly. So,
go. Not any of these absurd board states or anything. Yeah,
nope,
that checks out.
that's it. P.
All right.
Sully and then Ross with the Fire Blast.
All right. So does this kill any of these creatures here? Hard to see exact. Is that a 4/4 Bowmaster? Hard to see on our screen
It's
a
a
little bit.
3/3, I think.
Okay.
I see 2 counters on it, but
Okay.
we
Yep.
got
That is a 3/3. Thank you for
nailed it.
that. So now
And
we see Unholy Heat at the 6/6. That's 2 more damage. And both of these are 4/5s. So that looks like the Orc army is going to die no matter what.
well, there's still 2
Which,
green mana left over, and there's still scavenging uses. So
yeah,
the old
well, that goes up to 8, and there's already 4 damage on it, right?
the 4, 6, 4, yes. And
But
then
I guess
yes.
the Wall of Roots as well doesn't look like, obviously, it hasn't been active. So I think there's 3, but there's only 2 creatures. So nice work by Reed there.
Yeah.
That does clean that up. I mean,
I
that was incredible.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny because like Reed's probably gonna lose this game.
Yeah.
It's really, really easy to overlook stuff like that. It's just like, oh well, whatever, you lost anyway. I I didn't see that. I was just like, yeah, there's no way Reed can possibly kill anything here. And Reed did all the math, ran out of numbers because that's the strength of Reed's mental game. That he has
Yes.
the ability to like be in this horrible position, just be like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna find the best play.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll lose, maybe I'll win, whatever. Like
I would have been about 8 minutes into game 3 already.
I'd be having dinner right now, all right?
Exactly. This match would have been over. I would have drove to my local restaurant and already been on my way.
All right. I mean, now that the Bowmaster's gone, the preordain is live again. And now that the Soul Cauldron's tapped and there's only 1 green available, the breach is, I wouldn't say live, but a little more live than it was. So
It's a castable spell now.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Reed wants to go Swift Spear first or just preordain straight away. Save yourself as much mana as possible, or try to go for extra prowess triggers here.
Yeah, still a monumental amount of work to do, but
Here
yeah.
is preordain.
I'm impressed we're still in this game. Honestly. Like
Yeah.
I that turn went better than I could have ever conceived of going. Like
I totally agree with you. Now a situation of how do we get ourselves out of it? Now, Young Wolf has the 3 counters on it, but that's including an undying counter. So if that were to die, it just dies, right? It doesn't come back?
yeah, I think it's any +1/+1 counter on it will make it so it doesn't come back.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
4/4 is pretty large though.
Yeah.
See, good old Lava Dart here. Lava Dart's a humble card, all right, but we're not really in the market for a humble card right now. We need an otherworldly card. So
is this otherworldly? So we have a couple fetch lands. We have the Underworld Breach,
right.
which can cast Unholy Heat, or maybe we're just going for something like Metamorphose.
We got sorcery instant. land if Reed really wants it. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Honestly, and again, I think that's the kind of game where like you can easily watch that game and just be like, "This is dumb. What's he doing?" But like,
Yeah.
Reed's gonna win some amount of those games that you would have never considered winning, and that's
Exactly.
you add those 3 match wins a year to your records in major events, and all of a sudden you've gone from being an okay player to a really good player. It's a huge deal.
Exactly. And you just get, I think it can't be overstated enough. You get practice in playing from way behind. And then when you're in this moment at a moment that is extremely, valuable, of course, the Super League is very valuable as well. But, Reed being in a winning in for a pro tour or something, and he makes that kind of play, maybe the person you're playing against is a little nervous in that situation. You're not because you're used to it. And then all of a sudden you pick up that kind of win. I mean, that's how Reed gets to a level that, is just truly elite. There's good Magic players. I like to think we're pretty good. You're definitely knocking on the elite door as well. But I mean, Reed has been doing this forever. He's got a Hall of Fame career, just top eighted 2 of these last 4 events and lost 2 win-ins for the third one. Those kind of things don't happen by accident. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of commitment to your craft, which Reed definitely does.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with Reed for the last year and a half on Team CFB and Friends, and it really is. It's been an absolute pleasure. He really is like just a consummate professional in every sense of the word, in practice and gameplay. It is very admirable.
And just the nicest guy. Like, it's such a joy to
Yep.
be around. My last 2 years of pro Magic was with him as well. So I definitely feel it. And I definitely became a better Magic player by watching and just listening to him talk about the game.
For sure.
All right, so getting into the game here, we got turn 1 DRC Dragon Rage Channeler and a nice little peel off the top there for Reed, as he didn't really have an avenue to find a second land there. So, I mean, that had its risks, but definitely paid off.
And huge now too, because there's a chance that through the Manamorphose and the spells and the surveils, that Channeler will get out of Bowmaster range before Caleb can deploy it. Again, showing the disparity between the play and the draw in the matchup.
Yep. And one thing that Reed did have going for him there, where it could have been a scenario where he didn't have to get really lucky by drawing a land. If Caleb went for a turn 1 mana accelerant creature, you can go upkeep Lava Dart and then try to find land too. So that might have been a little reason why he was, more apt to snap that off.
For sure. Yeah, that's important too. When you're factoring in your mulligans and your keeps and how you're going to play your first few turns, like those little edges matter too. Okay, it's pretty close, but I can tip it over the edge by saying, okay, well, if this happens and that happens, then it's also good too.
Totally agree. So now it's just got to be Bowmaster, right? Like, this looks way too juicy to get DRC off the battlefield while you can.
Yeah, we saw a top from Reed too on the Metamorphose surveil as well. So
yeah,
and let's see what it is. It's the one of Pithing Needle.
Well, no, it was the land, right? It was the wooded foothills.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sorry.
He didn't have land 3.
Right.
Yep. But still, he didn't go for a lightning bolt or lava dart or something like that to play around the possible Bowmaster. Just said, you know what? I want to care more about having these removal spells for the creatures that matter than trying to have an outside chance of keeping my DRC alive. And that just leads back to, his need to kind of play that more consistent role and less all in and trying to leverage his play skill whenever he can.
For sure. Quite the variety pack here in Caleb's hand. They've got like the 1 Ballista, the 1 Blood Artist, the 1 Endurance, a couple 1 of lands here, and Yavimaya and Beseju has the Cauldron, but not a lot of consistency there because it is a lot of 1 of. So a lot of possible paths to take here, although the Endurance is quite good, even just the cast of this matchup.
The classic Golgari trade binder hand right here. Be like, oh, we'll just throw it all in here. But yeah, Endurance looking pretty good against Soul Scour Mage. Now, that being said, even 1 bolt does interact with it with the -1 counters from the mage's ability itself. But goes for it right now just to take off Lava Dart, take off possibilities of Delirium with Unholy Heat. And I kind of like that play.
Yeah, I mean, I think saying go there on Caleb's side is like, I mean, it's either Cord or Endurance,
Yeah.
And Cord for 1 isn't that threatening anyway with the Lava Dart in the graveyard too. So heads up play, I like it.
You know what's also frustrating about Pithing Needle? is if you Pithing Needle Yawgmoth and you just have a Yawgmoth in your graveyard and you Soul Cauldron it, doesn't that just get around it because it's technically not a Yawgmoth?
Yeah, that is definitely a new feature of this Soul Cauldron version of the deck for sure.
That's not even nice.
Yeah, what can't Soul Cauldron do? We got a little Dartage here.
All right.
Love it.
Reed with already a third land in hand says, you know what, I'm basically flooded in this Prowess deck because you really don't need that many lands. And now what is Reed going to do? You have the Spray Dragon, which is a decent play. You have the Bolt to push through one turn, but outside of that, Reed does not have a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of weight on these little fairy wings here of a Sprite Dragon. Need to grow it. Going to see the possible threat of a Bolt here. Obviously, sneaky reach on the Endurance, so it can block, but of course, the -1/-1 counters from the Soul Scar Mage will make that not look so good.
Yeah, so only Bolt and the one of Unholy Heat are things that can interact with this Endurance right now. I guess Lava Dart pitching a mountain as well, but this block is not a for sure I shouldn't block type thing. And we've seen Reed bluff before. The last time we were commentating this match, maybe Caleb heard about that bluff as well, or Reed told him in the booth. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, it's also, this Endurance realistically isn't that important to Caleb's plan here. It's a roadblock, it's there. If it trades with a Bolt and gains some life, that's not that bad either. But not gonna block. And then we see the Needle not cashed either, and the Bolt still being held onto also.
And go for the throat off the top. I think Caleb is going to very much be excited about this no block, especially with that draw, because he can go Soul Cauldron right now, have that +1/+1 counter available, and go for the throat. And then at that point, if Reed makes that same attack, I don't think it's going to go as well for him.
Yeah, getting Cauldron line is pretty huge.
No real good things to eat right now, especially since Endurance cleaned up some stuff. But right as I say that, walking Ballista to the yard. Now, Jim, what does that do?
So Ballista goes to the bin and exile the Soul Cauldron, and you're just going to give the Ballista ability to all of your counter creatures. So all of your counter creatures are now Ballistas. So the more counters there are, more damage you can do. And pretty powerful also when you're giving that ability to a creature that's not naturally a 0/0. So if this Endurance has a counter on it, you can pop the counter off, it still lives. Pretty powerful card to have under Soul Cauldron.
Yeah, holy cow. And you can also just add counters, right? The other mode of walking Ballista.
Yeah, that's also very powerful.
Man, Endurance is getting a glow up.
Yeah. 4/5, walking Ballista.
Endurance.
Yeah, and it still has reach.
Power creep's getting out of control, man.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, that doesn't work good enough already. Now it's going to be a 4/5. Come on.
Yeah, why not? And it can ping. I mean, come on.
So going for the ping on the Sprite Dragon. This is going to force Reed into action with the Bolt. And Reed can now shrink the Endurance.
But we can see a go for the throat on Soul Scar Mage, and all of a sudden, this Bolt looks bad.
Ooh,
what true, a masterfully played scenario from Caleb here. Maybe you don't even go for it.
Yeah, I think
I would have liked. I think I would have liked it. I mean, you get to keep the 3/4. I don't know.
It's close. Yeah, I'm not sure, because killing the dragon's the more threatening card by like a lot. It's the one card that stays, it grows, it gets bigger, it is flying. The one Soul Scar is not as scary, but I think you're right. Saving the Endurance to be, a 3/4 and then so on. And now the whole add counters thing won't work because each counter added will subtract one of the -1/-1 counters. Therefore, you can't deal with damage with it until you've gotten all those away also.
And you don't even have the ability right now. It's +1/+1 counters. So Endurance doesn't even have that text. And Pithing Needle can shut down Cauldron right now. And that's just off the table. And now Caleb will have to, do the normal Yawgmoth things. But all of a sudden, wow, this is a swinging game.
Yeah, this game's gotten tight, and you're seeing we're going to see a nice, good back and forth battle here because no player's really super firmly in the driver's seat yet. Both players have pretty good tools, but a lot to do.
And honestly, I like Caleb's plays, especially how this game has worked out. Maybe if Reed doesn't draw, a nice card like Expressive Iteration this turn, maybe, keeping around your endurance at a 3/4 would be better. But as it stands right now, I mean, that's one, two, three spells already. That Sprite Dragon would be a 5/5, and it would be completely unmanageable.
Yeah, it's
Heads up play by Caleb.
When that thing gets big, it does get really, really big, really, really fast. You know what? You also think about it too, because all the other prowess creatures don't do that. So all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, I think it's a 6/6. Wow.
Yeah.
You know.
And wow, all of a sudden, this game is looking really tough for Reed Duke to lose. And reminder, the winner joins Jim Davis and the other two winners from last week in the top 8, and that's half our top 8. The rest of the people have a bit of a tougher road to accomplish.
Yeah. Reed's hand is very strong. The needle can force the action on the cauldron. The dart can take out the blood artist. We got a little draw here of Metamorphose, an extra unholy heat. Oh, Preordain,
why not?
Yeah.
This could just be GG this turn. I mean, that's a little extreme, but
no, it's good.
That
gotta be close. Yeah, the needle's a big one here.
Yeah, and the nice thing that sorry to interrupt you there. Yeah, the one nice thing that you can do is play needle first and then have all your removal spells. So you force the cauldron to target one of the creatures, and then you go to kill the other creatures.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's huge. So forcing the issue here, and like it's cool because you want to play the cards preemptively for prowess anyway. So you just kind of play it, see what happens, and you can go from there. And we're already at 3/4, about to be a 4/5 with 2 more spells in hand, and the dart in the graveyard too. Yeah. I mean, it might be chump block or die here for Caleb.
I don't know if there's an option. I think it's just over because you unholy heat this. I guess first you start by darting the blood artist, so there's one less life.
Yeah.
And then dart blood artist, and then your creatures up to 5, 6, 7 with the bolt to the face.
Yeah.
There we go. This is gonna be Reed Duke advancing to the top 8 to join Jim. Impressive fashion.
I wasn't expecting Reed Duke to be flashing back Lava Dart to win the game here in Super League, but I am very, very happy to see it.
No, I was expecting Reed to cast, Time Warp with 2 up the beanstalks in hand and, win that way. But Lightning Bolt for lethal, a real on-brand thing for Reed Duke, taking it down and joining you in the winner's bracket.